Well, it's time to get started with my final project for 2020. Well, hey guys, and welcome back to another Illustrator Modeler. So for my final build of 2020, I've decided to build the Polar Lights kit of the USS Enterprise as it appeared at the end of Star Trek Discovery Season 1. Now, I have to say that I've tried following Discovery. It's just something I couldn't get into, but one thing I was happy to see was the appearance of the Enterprise at the end of Season 1. I followed the show through Season 2, and I'm very happy with who they cast as Captain Pike. Anson Mount does a great job with the character, and definitely I'm looking forward to what they do with his series called Strange New Worlds, and no doubt we're going to see a lot more of the Enterprise on that show. But what we have here now is an updated design of the Enterprise, and I think it does a much better it's a much better design versus the ones we saw with the JJ movies. What we have here now is a ship that has a metallic finish to it with the Aztec pattern. And as you look at the colors and design elements of what they've added with the engines and the struts and all of that, it's all in line with what we saw with NX-01 of Star Trek Enterprise, which I'm happy to see they decided to move in that direction with regard to continuity. The kit is a 1/1000 scale model of the ship. It measures 18 inches in length. And you can buy a couple other things with the kit. You can purchase the lighting kit, which I decided to do. I thought this would be a good way to go to attain the effects here of the engines. And also the Aztec pattern can be achieved with a decal sheet, which I also decided to purchase. And I'll show you all of that in just a minute here as we dive into the model. But before we get started, I wanted to share some pictures with you. The last couple months I've been following along on Facebook just to kind of see what people have been doing with the kit and if they had any particular comments or issues with the kit. But what I have here are some pictures to show you from some modelers. Two of them painted the model in that metallic finish, and the other two I have to show you decided to go in a different direction. So let's go ahead and take a look at those first. So first up is a model by Rick McKenrick. He told me that he decided on using a silver metallic blue color by Tester Model Master. I thought it was a nice choice. It looks really good, and to combine with the Aztec decal sheet, which by the way comes with those darker rings you see on the primary hull, turned out really nice. Next is a model by James Long. Again, a very nice finish here, and he also used the decal sheet. Next, this was a ship completed by modeler William Barton. Now this is not the Polar Lights kit, but rather it is a 3D printed model of the ship. And I just wanted to show you this because he decided to finish this model with colors based on the TOS color scheme. He followed suggestions given in an article by Gary Kerr, which can be found on culttvman.com, and I'll place the link below. But I thought it was really cool how he went in a different direction, and you can see how nice the model looks without the metallic finish. And lastly is a model, or a couple of models here, done by Lachlan Duncan Stewart Toker. I hope I got that name right. And he did two versions of the ship. The first is a second example of how the ship can be painted with a conventional scheme, one which again follows what we typically see with the original series Enterprise. Really nice job for sure. You can see then he decided to build a second ship sporting the metallic color and decal sheet, and one unique effect he added was to the bridge window, in which he replicates how the window turns opaque when the main screen is not in use, something that we saw on the TV show. So thanks again guys for allowing me to share those pictures. If you have any questions you can follow them on Facebook, but I thought they did a fantastic job with your kits. Now this video is really all about giving you just a preview of what I have planned for this model. At the end of showing you what's in the model, I also want to share one other thing with you, and that's an update of a 3D printed project I worked on a few months ago of Nomad. That of course is the probe from the original series Changeling episode. Now, I was really happy with the way everything turned out in the end, but in the process of working with the STL file for that 3D print, I did run across a few issues. I'm not sure if the original designer has made any modifications to addressing those issues, but a modeler by the name of Gary Rain did contact me recently, and he tried making modifications. He started off with that Thingiverse file. In the end, he designed his own STL file, and I think the modifications he's made will make it much easier if you're interested in constructing a model of Nomad. You'll have a much better time at putting something like that together. So we'll do that at the very end. Let's go ahead and start by showing you what's inside the box. Well, let's go ahead and begin with the primary hull. This is the upper side of the saucer section. As you can see, the model comes molded in this sort of silver gray color. We've got some very nice panel lines here that are deep and allow for a nice wash. You can see the detailing here as it goes towards the back side here where the impulse engines are. This kind of reminds me of the Excelsior design. And this, of course, is the lower section of the primary hull with nice deep panel lines as well. And it's interesting to note that the triangular designs here are now molded into the ship itself, which was not the case with the original TOS ship. And this tree includes a secondary hull. You can see the panel lines there as well. And it's interesting to see that the markings are actually molded into the side of the ship here versus just being a decal. And the nacelles, again, very reminiscent of the NX-01 design. And you can see that the side markings also are molded into the kit. And there is this tree which holds all of the clear parts. You can see these go into the primary hull, both the lower and upper section there. We've got the clear coverings for the Bussard collectors, and the rest of these fittings are for the windows and the warp nacelles. Okay, let's take a look at the decal sheet now. What's included are 3 sheets of decals, and the first page looks like this, which when I first was looking at it, it looked like this was a decal sheet, and what was interesting was that the rest of them were on this blue paper, but actually this is apparently provided just to reassure you that the decals are gray. So this is just a reference page, I suppose, might want to call it. But we have the decals here. We've got those for the primary hull. Then we've got more for the saucer section, as well as the struts. And then we have here others that are going to go on the nacelles and other parts of the ship. Now the instructions for the application are on the back side, and one important note that I need to make here is if you bought one of the earlier versions, these instructions apparently are not correct. This is something I kind of stumbled across watching different videos, and I'll put the link to one of the videos down below here. But apparently there are some new instructions. The ones that pertain to the nacelles in particular are not correct on this, and so there are some new instructions that you can obtain from round 2 by going to their website, and I'll put the link down below. Alright, let's take a look inside of this lighting kit here. Okay, and the kit comes with its own sets of instructions. Looks like the assembly process begins with the front of the nacelles to get that effect there, the spinning effect. Let's see how the wires are fed through the struts and into the secondary hull. I've got instructions for lighting the primary hull. And this is how everything feeds through to the secondary hull, also providing some illumination for the shuttlecraft bay. And taking a closer look at the kit itself, you can see the 2 little motors that will provide the effect for the nacelles. I don't want to take all of this out of the plastic just yet, but we've got some clear red domes here for the Bussard collectors. And the kit also provides these tail ends for the nacelles, which are in clear blue. And this package contains more of the LEDs that will light the interior. All of this connects to a battery box that has an on and off switch. Well, it definitely looks like a fun model to work with. I am looking forward to constructing it, and we'll begin so in the next video. A little undecided about the base color, though. I think I'm going to go with Tamiya's light gunmetal and maybe covering that with a light coating of silver. Before I wrap up here, a few words here about Nomad. If you recall, this is a project I worked on a few months ago. It's a 3D printed project. I used a file from Thingiverse, and although in the end the project turned out well, there were a few issues with the way the file was designed or the way the bodies was designed that made it difficult to print some of this stuff. Now with the body, that was the most difficult part of it, and one of the reasons is that the walls are fairly thin, and that created problems with warpage, and The other thing was the windows are not completely accurate. If you recall, I had to make modifications to this bottom window because it's rectangular and not square. And also had some problems with splitting up along here. Again, just all the way this was designed to begin with. So I made notes and sent some suggestions for the designer to make modifications on the STL file. I'm not sure if he's done so yet, but modeler Gary Rain has made modifications and has done so by creating his own STL file for this project. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what he's done. So the one thing he's been working on is the body, which includes thicker walls, but also more accurate and open side panels and hole placements. The design of the panels themselves is a bit inaccurate with mine as well, and he's redesigned it to replicate what you see on the TV show. The other thing that was missing on mine is the side detailing on each of the corners, and you will no longer have to add styrene pieces like I did because he's including that in his design. To avoid the splitting at the top, he's completely separated the top piece, and this will absolutely avoid that splitting problem that I had issues with. So I do think those modifications that Gary's making here will help out a lot. If you are interested in creating a Nomad replica, I think that's going to be the way to go. He is printing his project currently and constructing it, and so far he's been sending me some updates of the parts he's printed, and it looks pretty impressive. The model that he is making is going to be larger than mine since he has the Elegoo Saturn, which has a larger build plate, and but he's going to include the lighting and the sound card and all of that, so I'm looking forward to see how it all turns out, and hopefully he can send us some video so I can show you how it all turned out. So if you have any questions about any of this, feel free to contact me here on my YouTube channel or at interstellarmodeler@gmail.com. I'll see you in the next video where I'll begin construction of the Enterprise.